The Philippines is a land of beauty, diversity, and drama. Its story is filled with adventure, struggle, and triumph. For centuries, this archipelago of more than 7,000 islands has attracted traders, explorers, and colonizers from around the world. But what truly makes the Philippines fascinating is not just its natural wonders, but its people, their courage, resilience, and spirit. History matters because it explains who we are and why we do what we do. The past shapes the present and guides the future. To understand the Philippines today, we must look back at its long and remarkable journey. Every chapter from ancient times to today has left its mark on the Filipino soul. This essay will take you on a journey through the centuries, from the first settlers and thriving barangays to the battles against invaders, colonizers, and dictators. Along the way, you will meet heroes, learn about hardships, and witness the birth of a nation. Let us dive into the entire history of the Philippines, a history of survival, unity, and hope. This is a story every Filipino can be proud of, and one the world should know. Long before Spain came, the Philippines was already a lively crossroads in Asia. Early Filipinos settled along rivers and coasts, building small communities called barangays. Each barangay was led by a datu, or chief. Life was organized but simple. People fished, farmed, and traded goods like rice, gold, and pottery. Trade with neighboring countries flourished. Chinese, Indian, Arab, and Malay traders exchanged silk, ceramics, and spices. These contacts brought new ideas and technologies. Early Filipinos learned to weave, create jewelry, and carve beautiful boats called balangays. Gold was common, and many wore it as a sign of status. Religion was rich and diverse. Filipinos worshipped spirits called anito, and believed in a world filled with magic, nature, and ancestors. Shamans, called babaylan, led rituals and healed the sick. Society valued bravery, hospitality, and respect for elders. Despite their differences, barangays traded, allied, and sometimes fought each other. Yet they shared one thing, a spirit of independence and adaptability. These traits would help them survive the storms of history to come. In 1521, a fleet led by Ferdinand Magellan arrived on the shores of Samar. Magellan and his men were the first Europeans to set foot in the Philippines. They brought with them Christianity, strange weapons, and dreams of conquest. At first, local leaders welcomed them, curious about their goods and stories, but trouble soon followed. Magellan tried to convert chieftains to Christianity and demanded loyalty to Spain. In Mactan, the warrior Lapu-Lapu refused. On April 27, 1521, Lapu-Lapu and his men fought bravely against Magellan's forces. Magellan was killed, and his survivors fled. Lapu-Lapu became the first Filipino hero, a symbol of resistance and courage. The Spanish didn't give up. They returned, decades later, determined to conquer and unite the islands. The arrival of the Spaniards would change everything: the land, the people, and their way of life. Lapu-Lapu's victory, though brief, proved something important. Filipinos would not give up their freedom easily. This spirit of defiance would echo through every generation. Spanish colonization began in 1565, led by Miguel López de Legazpi. The Spaniards slowly took control, uniting many islands under one rule for the first time. They named the country Las Islas Filipinas after King Philip II of Spain. The capital, Manila, became a busy port in the center of Spanish power. Christianity spread quickly. Missionaries built churches, schools, and hospitals. Most Filipinos became Catholics, mixing old beliefs with new faith. The Spanish changed the social structure. Xotrotains, Soxotan. New classes formed, with Spanish and Mestizo elites at the top, and many natives as workers or laborers. Trade flourished in Manila, especially through the Manila-Acapulco galleon trade. Goods from China, Mexico, and Europe passed through Filipino hands. But life under Spanish rule was often harsh. Forced labor and heavy taxes burdened many. Local revolts broke out in places like Ilocos, Bohol, and Cavite. Despite hardship, Filipinos never lost hope. They learned new skills, formed communities, and passed on stories of resistance. The seeds of nationalism were quietly growing. By the late 1800s, a new spirit was rising. Filipinos who studied in Europe began to dream of freedom, equality, and reform. Among them was José Rizal, a doctor, writer, and visionary. His novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, exposed the cruelty of the Spanish and inspired many to act. Rizal did not call for violence but for education and peaceful change. Still, his words were powerful. The Spanish authorities arrested and executed him in 1896. His death shocked the nation and turned him into a martyr. More Filipinos joined secret revolutionary groups like the Katipunan, led by Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Aguinaldo. The revolution against Spain erupted. Towns rose up, battles were fought, and the idea of an independent Philippines became real. By 1898, Filipino revolutionaries had declared independence from Spain. The dream of freedom seemed within reach. It was Rizal's mind and the people's bravery that sparked a movement. Nationalism had awakened, and the world could no longer ignore the Filipino desire for liberty. But as Spain fell, a new empire arrived, the United States. The Treaty of Paris in 1898 handed the Philippines to America without asking Filipinos. The Philippine-American War erupted. Filipinos, led by Aguinaldo, fought bravely, but superior American forces crushed the resistance after years of bloody conflict. Under American rule, big changes came. English was taught in schools, and roads, bridges, and hospitals were built. The Americans promised self-government, introducing democratic institutions and public education. They also reformed the economy and healthcare. Yet, not everyone was happy. The war and later policies led to suffering, deaths, and broken dreams. Some Filipinos feared losing their identity. Still, the seeds of democracy and modern education took root. By the 1930s, Filipinos were preparing for eventual independence. It was a time of rapid change, painful, but also full of new ideas and hope for a better future. In December 1941, Japanese forces invaded the Philippines. World War II had reached the islands. The Japanese promised Asia for Asians, but their rule was cruel and violent. Thousands were killed, cities burned, and people suffered hunger, fear, and torture. Filipino and American soldiers fought side by side. The Bataan Death March became a symbol of their suffering, as thousands died on a forced march to prison camps. But Filipinos did not give up. Guerrilla fighters resisted, hiding in the mountains and jungles, striking back whenever they could. After 3 long years, American forces returned. The Battle of Manila was fierce and destructive. In 1945, the Philippines was finally liberated, but the cost was enormous. Cities lay in ruins, families were broken, and the nation had to start over. World War II left deep scars, but it also showed the world the bravery and resilience of the Filipino people, who fought for freedom at any cost. On July 4, 1946, the Philippines gained full independence. Flags waved, people cheered, and hope filled the air. Manuel Roxas became the first president of the new republic, but freedom came with big challenges. The country had to rebuild from war, heal wounds, and form a strong government. The early years saw hope and energy. Democracy was restored, new schools, roads, and businesses appeared, but old problems returned too: poverty, corruption, and unrest. Different presidents tried to solve these, each with their own vision. Some succeeded, others failed. Land reform, education, and economic recovery were always on the agenda. The Cold War also brought new pressures. The Philippines became an important United States ally in Asia. Through it all, Filipinos remained hopeful. They celebrated their culture, rebuilt their lives, and dreamed of a brighter future. In 1965, Ferdinand Marcos became president. At first, he promised change and progress, but in 1972, he declared martial law, turning into a dictator. The government silenced critics, jailed opponents, and violated human rights. Many lived in fear, while a few grew rich and powerful. For more than a decade, the country suffered, but the Filipino spirit could not be crushed. Activists, priests, nuns, students, and ordinary people bravely fought for justice. In 1983, the assassination of opposition leader Ninoy Aquino shocked the nation and sparked even bigger protests. By 1986, millions of Filipinos filled EDSA Avenue in a peaceful revolution. The People Power Revolution, led by Corazon Aquino, toppled the Marcos regime. Democracy was restored, and the world cheered the courage of the Filipino people. Since then, the Philippines has faced many more challenges: disasters, corruption, and political fights. But it has also seen great achievements. strong democracy, economic growth, and a vibrant culture that inspires others. The journey is far from over, but the Filipino people continue to rise, rebuild, and hope.